time for the end of the season review and transfer window. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get into today's episode, why don't you go ahead and leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that little bell to get notified when I upload on the daily. So looking at the squad, we know what we have to improve on. Like I said, we re-signed Freddie Gonzalez. I wouldn't mind upgrading him. We need some defenders like center back, right back, left back. All of those positions need some depth. Maybe a little bit of upgrading as well. The midfield needs depth and upgrading. Joshua Smith started. He shouldn't have been starting this year. He was 2-star, 3-star potential player. Is it doing it again? I'm going to have to restart FM, I think. Nope, there it goes. Okay, so hopefully we'll get through it this time. Joshua Smith, he needs to be upgraded, as I said. He still does have some potential, but not much. Striker, I wouldn't mind bringing in a backup for Anguello or the guy that I really like that I can't think of his name, Joe Warren. So we have that to go through. Inbox-wise, we did get the overall best 11. It's a little bit different, I guess, in the MLS is where you don't get that pop-up. You get like the end of the season awards. So Anguello's in there, Rodolfo's in there, Matisse Norton is in there, Ruan is in there, Santos is in there. And that is the only players that are still at the club. End of the season awards, though. Brian Anguello wins fans player of the season. Anguello had goal of the season. Signing of the season was Jensen. Young player was Joe Warren. Top goal scorer was Anguello, banging in 23 goals. He also had the highest overall rating with 7.43. Rodolfo with the most assists, 12 of them. Jensen with the best pass completion, 93%. Joe Warren had 4 player of the matches. Reese and Derek Williams had 6 yellow cards. And Ruan and Emerson Santos was leaders of the Naughty Boy Club. But I think we have a little bit of a gap before we start getting players. I'm going to get through all of that. I think the MLS draft is in end of December, early January. I can't remember exactly which one of those two it is. But we'll probably be back when we get the hey, these guys are going to the combine. We discussed this in the last time. We'll come back around the combine so we can see the players that we want to scout and look and see if we can find a way on scouting the players that are not invited to the combine. It is draft time. We got the draft pulled up. I've got some players scouted, some players that I like. So what I plan on doing is we will, so we don't pick until pick 13. So I want to skip to our picks. I will pick a player. We'll come back and look at him. But I just wanted to give you all a little bit of an overview of what it looks like. So this is the draft screen. When you get there, you can see the next pick. So you get the first overall pick. They picked Timo Ganzler, which was a player that I was interested in picking. He's a goalkeeper. Looks pretty good. So he is off our board. One thing that I recommend doing if you ever do an MLS save is to, when you scout your players, create a short list and divide that initial short list up into other short list of tiers of which players that you like. So that's what I've done. So we're going to go kind of based off of that. But like I said, it may take me a while to make picks because I'm going to be going, because you can't see everything on this screen. You got to go back to your short list back here. So I'm going to do that off screen, but we will look at each pick after they're made that I make. But we'll just keep going a little bit further just to get to our pick, see what happens. So they picked Scott Alfaro, another goalkeeper. The goalkeepers are going early. I don't remember this guy if I liked him a lot or not. His name doesn't ring a bell. Next pick is Hugo Pitchell. This guy right here, they do like a preview in your inbox of the draft, and this is who they had us previewed picking. American player, right wing. Looked like he was actually pretty good. I don't know why our scouts rated him as low as they did. He was I thought he was a Generation Adidas. He's not. Generation Adidas doesn't count towards your salary cap. So those players are always somebody you might want to consider drafting. Up next is Drake Pendath. He was a player that I considered left wing, I think, or both sides. Both sides. Looked to be a pretty good overall player, just kind of a versatile player. Danny Tomlinson, another goalkeeper. Francisco Vasquez, another goalkeeper. Evan Charpy, I had looked at him. I was interested in him. He is one of the Generation Adidas players. This is kind of given just to a select handful of players that the MLS think is going to be really good prospects. We're coming up pretty soon on our pick. We're on pick 18. Steven Medina is now picked. He is a striker, I believe. Jacob Hogg, he was a player that I had looked at. I think I shortlisted him at one point. Matt Smith. Okay, so we should be, after this one right here, we should be on the clock. So we're up next. We do have some transfer offers in for our overall, this pick right here. So what Columbus Crew are offering a first round pick and 1 international slot for next year. Then wait, what? This one's kind of weird. So they want 13th pick, 1 year, and 950 general allocation money, which is used to kind of buy down contracts used for transfers within the MLS. What are they? I'm kind of confused. So they're wanting to give up their pick that they've already picked. So no, I would prefer not to do that because I don't know who you picked. Next one we got is 13th pick and 65K general allocation money for their 2027 first round, 2-year international slot, and 65K. Not really interested in any of those. We're going to just go ahead and cancel all of those. Read these, but I was going to show you the preview, but I'm not going to look for it. So what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to go back to the draft. I'm going to look at some players that are available still, and we'll come back with my pick, and we'll see who we got. I believe I have our pick that we're going to make. I do want to go over some of the guys that I have thought about going with. Kobe Sullivan is an option that I like. Looks to be a pretty good little player, center back option. American, he can play kind of on either side. Not great, but somewhat. He's awkward at those positions. I wish that this would save how I had it when I keep going back. There was another option that I really liked. Gregory Dixon, I think, was him. He's an all right player. Wasn't the one I was looking for. Where is the guy that I liked? There was one guy that could play on both sides really well, but I can't seem to find him at this moment. But I believe the guy we're going to go with is Hector Pachicho. He's an attacking mid that we can play in the center mid as well. We'll train him to get into that spot. He can play up there if we need to go to that for a little while. Looks to be a really good player. I'm kind of excited about him. He's got good technical abilities already in some of the key spots. His mentals, I love his decision making. He's got good flair. His teamwork is outstanding. Got good work rate. His physicals are coming along pretty nicely, it seems like. But I believe this is who we're going to pick. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to grab Mr. Hector Pachicho. I clicked the wrong one. We're going to call him just Hector because I'm going to struggle with that name forever. If I can find him again. There he is. And the good thing about him, he is a GA. He's a Generation Adidas player. So why do I keep clicking on him? How do I draft him? He is a Generation Adidas player, so we don't have to worry about his contract. His contract will not count toward the salary cap. So we draft 19-year-old midfield Hector Pachicho. Welcome to the club, young fellow. One thing about it is, after the draft, you do have to sign these players. So, that's a good thing with him is he's on the Generation Adidas. We don't have to worry about his contract. MLS is paying his contract. So we got, I don't know when our next pick is. We're going to send through a couple of these, staying in the draft. There is some good players out there in the MLS draft right now still. Like I said, there was a couple of options. The reason why I drafted him is because he stood out to me. You know, the rest of the guys really didn't stand out as well. So we're excited about bringing him into the squad. I was kind of complaining about, I wish that they would take the drafted players off. You can see that they're drafted right there, but still kind of one of those hey, get off my screen, guy. Benji Peters is still not drafted. I actually liked him. So I like Benji Peters as well. Kobe Sullivan was a guy that I liked. He's still available. I don't remember you. Gregory Dixon, we mentioned him. I'm just trying to look over some of these players that we could potentially take, especially in key roles that we need. Matt Smith, he looks like he's a absolutely stud in the mental department. Needs to work on his technical ability. I think he's more of a center back more than a left back, but he looks pretty good. He's got okay first touch. He can play over there. But we'll be back when it is our turn once again. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to draft a very similar player to the last guy that we took. It looks like, I think we're going to go with Benji Peters. Looks to be a really good player. He's an attacking mid that can play as well on the left-hand side. So I'm thinking that since we will be playing the Hector, I think that was his name, in the midfield mainly, we can play Benji on the left-hand side a little bit more. The only thing that worries me about him is his finishing and his crossing isn't really that great at this point in his career, but I think he's going to be the best overall player for us. He's got some good abilities for an attacking mid. I kind of like him there a little bit better. His dribbling, first touch, passing, technique. He can honestly probably also play in the midfield as well as Hector, but he's got some good mentals as well. Not as good as Hector's, but his teamwork's pretty good. He's got good off the ball. His determination's a little bit low for what I like, but I think he's just going to be the best guy that we can get at this in the second round. I looked at some of the other guys, and I'm just really not just overly impressed, which, I mean, it is getting a little bit later in the draft. So to get somebody like Benji Peters at this point, I think is a good value for us. We're going to complete the draft at this point now, though, because we are done. Don't really care. So after the draft is you have to offer these contracts to players. So we're going to start negotiations with him. List him as a breakthrough prospect thing. I'm okay with giving him a fringe player for the future, and he will get a reserve contract because I don't want to pay him a ton right now. So he's going to get that. We're going to send him that offer, and hopefully he will come back with it. We do have some news on transfers in general, though. I signed 2 players right now. We got 2 more transfers out there. We'll look at the salary cap, and then we'll look at those players. We're looking pretty good right now. We finally got that money from those DPs that was, for some reason, they was DPs. I don't know why they was DPs. Finally got their money out of the salary cap, so we do have some money to spend now. And I have bought some players that look to be really good players. Kind of excited about them. This is what I sit through when I'm simulating games. This database that I have is like just absolutely massive. I probably should have stopped. Yep. So we're looking. I think we're okay. We got one of the options that I signed, I believe, was a mid. I think he was a midfielder. I think we got the center back. I think. But they look to be really good players. And the good thing about them is they're both Brazilians. So it kind of might get the board off our back. They're wanting us to sign Brazilian players. And they're kind of mad at me because I hadn't. But since signing those 2 guys, they're happy about it. So looking at the draft grade, I'm sure we've done terrible. Most people say that this thing is kind of baloney anyways. It doesn't really matter. But I do kind of like to look at it after drafts in American sports. They do this like on ESPN and everything. They grade how good people done. So let's try to find us on this list. I'm sure we're near the bottom, but we're going to start up top, and we are for Orlando B-. Okay, I'll take a B-. It's better than what I usually do. So we got these 2 guys. They're in the squad now. Look to be both really good players. Excited about them. Just read through these right quick for me. The transfers that I wanted to look at the salary cap first. Looking at the salary cap first, we do have a little under $2 million to spend. We have $1.68 million of salary cap, which is massive for us right now. But we did bring in 2 players. So let's take a look at those guys. Transfer history. So we brought in Jose Eresimo. He is another guy that plays on the left-hand side. He can play up top as well. Looks to be an absolute stud. The only thing that's a little bit worrisome is his finishing, but I think he'll be all right on that left-hand side. He's either-footed, so I like that. We can train him potentially to play on the right-hand side, but his dribbling's really good. He's got good first touches. Long shots is okay. Passing is absolutely wonderful. Technique's great. Teamwork's good. Good flair, good determination. This is the kind of player that I like to sign. Young guy that we can potentially sell for more. We bought him for $725K. Next up is Wagner. $450K spent on him. He's a midfielder that we're going to play. Looks to be a lot better than his current 3-star rating. His dribbling's 18, first touch 16, passing 15, technique 16, players 15. Absolutely excited about this one. We do have 2 other players. I'll go over those guys right quick that we're trying to sign. One of them I don't think we're going to get just because he's had a lot of offers for him. We're trying to sign Mendes. He's a goalkeeper option, 3.5 stars. Looks to be a major upgrade over what we have. He is a Brazilian, which the board should be happy about. Alan Inez is another player. He can play on either side. mainly as a backup option for us on those. But hopefully he will sign with us, and we can bring in that guy and do a little bit of coverage right there. I am about to look at Super Sport United to see if we can bring anybody in like Caden Francis, potentially Big John. See what else we got. I don't know. We'll be back in a little bit, though. So we've had another wave of transfers come in now. I forgot about the international spots. We are over the limit on international spots, so we've got to figure that out. Looking at the players that we have brought in since where we last left off. Thought it would be here. Can we? Okay, so y'all didn't see this guy anyways. Alan Inez, he's in. He can play on both sides. Kind of just a depth piece for us for the time being. Thought we had... How do you see the trades that you've done? Transfer history? Trades. I bet that's it right there. Okay, so we ended up buying Trey Muse, a goalkeeper, 3.5-star, 4-star potential player. Looks to be a major upgrade over what we have right now. We purchased him for $575K. We brought him Philip Sandler, 3-star center back, 4.5-star potential. And the reason why we're bringing these guys in is because they're American. We can't afford to buy any more international players. So we're looking at American players now. We do still have some work to do. Looking at the squad, this is what we have right now. Looking at the depth chart. So I think we're okay at midfield right now, especially if we can get the other guy, the rookie we drafted, registered. We know that Josh Smith can play a role there. He's not really good, but he can play a role there. I would like to bring in another left back, maybe a midfield if I can afford it. But that's where we're sitting right now. But yeah, I'm kind of a little bit disappointed in the international squad because I wouldn't have brought in Inez probably if I would have remembered that. I might would have signed somebody else. The only player that I think we can actually get rid of for the international spot is Anguello, and I think we could afford to do that. I just really don't want to. Joe Warren we could go one up top at that point. We would have to find another spot to play somebody, but that's what we're looking at right now. I don't know. I feel like we're an okay team. I haven't looked at the season preview. They're wanting mid-table. Looks like we're sitting mid-table, higher than mid-table. So we're looking pretty good for this season right now. Like I said, if we can bring in 1 or 2 more players, I'll be really happy. But they have to be Americans, and I would like to maybe try buying 1 international spot. But I don't know what that usually goes for. So we're going to see, and we'll be back after then. I don't know, guys. Brought in 2 more players that I think are going to be solid depth pieces for us. We brought in Moses Neyman. He's a midfielder. Looks to be a pretty solid guy. He's not great at marking, which, I mean, he's okay. He's got good other technical abilities. His mentals, he's got really good mentals. Aggression, bravery, determination, teamwork. Got some really good physical attributes as well with agility and pace. Looks to be a pretty good signing for us as a backup midfield option. Kevin Parity, he's a right winger. He's an all-around decent player. He's got good crossing, good dribbling, good first touch, good long shots, good passing, good technique. He's just an overall solid player. I'm happy to have him in the club. We do have one other offer that I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. He's a backup left back option. He's a 2-star player right now. We've had him on trial. He's not great, but he's not really that bad. I think he's just more of a potentially a good player. But there's not many good left back options that are Americans, so he might be coming into the squad. That would roll out the squad looking like this right here. If we can click it. So with the right wing options that we have available now, we got Rodolfo and Paradise, Joe Warren, Robinho can play over there as well. The left wing's looking very nice as well with Eresimo, Robinho over there, Rodolfo and Wagner. The midfield, I'm really happy with the midfield, how it's came together. We got Norton, Wagner, Sandler can play there, Neyman can play there. Left back option, go ahead and add that one guy right there. We got Derek Williams from last year. Alan Inez can play there. Our center backs are looking pretty good. with Santos, Jensen, and Sandler. Jensen, I think, can still be a really good player in this league. I click back. I did. And then on the right hand side, we're looking pretty good as well. We got Ruan again. We got Alan Inez that can play over there. Emerson can play over there. Norton can play over there. Muse is in goal. And we know that Gonzalez can be a starter at this level. But I think we're wrapping out the squad now. Why does it say? Okay, I guess they've just been made available for the B team for the time being. I didn't do that. That's kind of odd. But I guess that's just to build up a little bit of sharpness. So we got that going for us. Financially, we're looking fairly solid right now. We're under the salary cap, still by 1.43 million. We could bring in another player if we had the international spot available, which I wish we did. Sadly, we moved our new guy. That looks crazy now. Hector down to the B team just because of the international spots. So he's down there for this season. Hopefully we can get a spot cleared up for him for next season. But I will go ahead and say this. I was really worried about playing in the MLS at the start of this journey here. But after the transfer window, I've had a really good time with the draft. Was really fun. I had a good time doing that. It's a little bit different with the transfers. So we made trades for players. I thought that was a cool aspect of it. And then another thing that was a little bit different. So we didn't exactly get those players for free. We had to make trades for them. I wish I could see them right now, but I can't. We made trades for Neyman and Paredes because they still had rights owned to them by their former club. So Paredes, his former club was the Toronto FC, I believe. So we had to make a trade with them to get him. We paid cheaply for him, I think a 3rd-round pick. And then Neyman, we gave a 2nd-round pick for him as well, which I think is the right move because the 2nd round, there wasn't that many great options available. And to be fair, we're not going to be here a great amount of time. But to get somebody that's got 30 under 20 caps, 2 under 20 goals, I'm happy with that. I really am. I think he can be a really good player. I just don't think he's had the playing time in the league. He did play, well, he has played a little bit for DC United. And he put in decent ratings. I mean, they're not great, but they're not bad. I will gladly have that as a backup options. Paredes, I don't know about him. He's played some in his career before. He never really seemed like was a lockdown starter, but he put up good ratings. Total average rating was 6.64. That's a good backup option to me. He has no youth caps, but like I said, these are solid, I think, solid backup moves for us in a league that is very tough on the cap. So we're still under everything, and we're sitting pretty good in the season preview. I know that's season preview, but we're sitting 8th right now. We're tied for 6th. I mean, we can potentially, in the odds, we could make it up to 6th place. If we make the playoffs next year, finish top half in the, what is it called? The Supporters Shield. That'll be a great season for us. But I think that's going to wrap up the video. I'm not going to do many more transfers after that other guy unless just something crazy happens. Angelo is still getting a lot of interest. We've bumped up his asking price to 11 million. And I think if somebody comes in for 11 million, we may have to take that because that would clear up an international spot for us and give us a little bit more money to work with on other players. But I'm not sold on doing that. Here I am, once again, asking you to like the video, sub below, hit the notification bell, lets you know when I actually upload on the daily so you can stay up to date with the latest videos. Hey, leave a comment down below. Who do you think was the best signing this offseason? Who do you think is going to be the key to the success of the club this year besides Brian Anguillo? I don't want to see that in the comments. But once again, guys, thank you for watching.